Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the No Silicast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com, a technology geek podcast with an ever so slight Apple bias. Today is Friday, January 23rd, 2026, and this is show number 1081. Since you're getting this on a Friday, that's your hint that there will be no live show on Sunday, January 25th. Steve and I are going to be off visiting some grandkids. You'll have to wait until Sunday, February 1st to join the friendly and enthusiastic No Silicastaways in the live chat room. Last week, I told you about my amazing discovery of the built-in app Panel Editor, which allows you to make a set of on-screen buttons that can act much like a Stream Deck. I was so proud of my discovery, and I decided to do a pop quiz with Adam Engst to see if he'd ever heard of it. I figured if Adam had never heard of it, then I'd really discovered something. I texted him, and he said no, he hadn't heard of it. I sent him my article, and he said he didn't have time to read it right away, but he would in a few days. Now, here's where the story gets really funny. A few days later, he told me that it turns out he had written about Panel Editor back in 2019. I thought that was amusing and reassuring because I often forget what I talked about, like last week. But the story gets much funnier. I started reading his article, and in it, he talked about this trick Sal Soghoian demonstrated at a conference called MacTech. When I saw the screenshot of the panel Sal had created, I suddenly remembered I was at that MacTech talk, and I saw Sal's demonstration too. And get this, I wrote it up back in 2019 too. I told Adam that I was there, and that's where the story gets to the funniest part. Adam then remembered we were sitting next to each other at MacTech when we both saw Sal demonstrate Panel Editor. You know that classic trope in movies and TV shows of two old ladies sitting around both not being able to remember a story? Yep, that's Adam and me. Now, the good news is that sitting together at MacTech is how we became friends, which led to Adam being our regular guest on Chit Chat Across the Pond. Anyway, I thought you guys might get a kick out of that story. If your podcatching client grabbed the No Silicast feed last week between 6:18 p.m. and 10:55 p.m. Pacific time, that was on the 18th of January, you will have noticed that I made what Bart would call a dog's dinner out of the audio. I thought you might like to learn exactly how I borked it up so badly and what it took to fix it. On Sunday at 5 p.m. Pacific time, Steve and I joined the friendly and enthusiastic No Silicastaways for the live show. We had a lovely time as I recorded the podcast and carefully embedded the audio files from CES that Steve exports from the video interviews we do on the show floor. I recorded the outro, and then Steve and I did our chapter counts at the end to ensure I hadn't forgotten any articles. I can't tell you how many times I've forgotten to mark the chapter for security bits, which is probably the single most important chapter to mark, right? Anyway, Kevin in the live chat room always reminds us to do this ever so important chapter count at the end. After we finished the live show, I exported an AAC file from my recording software, Hindenburg. Next, I uploaded the file to Auphonic.com. This service does a lot of things, which I wrote up in detail in an article entitled Auphonic Sweetens My Audio and More. In short, though, Auphonic levels the audio, brings it up to the loudness standards, and then transcodes it to an MP3 file and to this silly video file of a waveform in front of the logo that we use for YouTube. Auphonic also uses Whisper AI to create the transcript you see in the post for my shows. When all of this is complete, it uploads the silly video to YouTube, creates a download link for the transcription, and most importantly, it securely FTPs or transfers the transcoded MP3 file to libsyn.com, which is the service I use to host all of my audio files. Once Auphonic has done its magic, I download the MP3 for long-term storage, and I move a copy of the transcript up to podfeet.com. At this point, I can add the links to the audio from Libsyn to the blog post and the app to Feeder from Reinvented Software, which creates the podcast feed, and then I can publish the blog post and the podcast. Now, that sounds like a lot of work, but I've been doing this for so long that I can whip all of this out in about 15 minutes. The longest part of the process is actually waiting for Auphonic to finish its magic. As the shows have gotten longer, it takes longer for it to do all of this work. Well, on the most recent Sunday, I had the MP3 file back in my hands by around 6:18 p.m., and I posted the show shortly afterwards. I went downstairs where Steve had cooked me a lovely grilled chicken dinner with brown rice and steamed broccoli. So what went wrong? At exactly 9:20 p.m., two separate people tried to get my attention that something was quite wrong. Eros Skamagakis from Greece sent me an email that said, "In the third chapter of the podcast, there are two chapters playing at the same time. It is impossible to hear it. Thank you for your great work." Well, it was lovely of him to give me a compliment whilst telling me that the file was a hot mess. At the same exact time, Michael Westbay from Japan wrote in our Slack community, "I'm sure you've been told this already by a number of people, but in this week's podcast, you start talking over the end of the CES segment before it's finished and go into the next segment also before it's finished. Looks like something didn't get lined up in your timeline. That first CES stock is played again after presentation of the panel. I remember when this happened before, you chastised all of us for not telling you. I'm really glad both of them alerted me to this, and, Michael's right, I did chastise you before for not telling me. So if you ever do hear something like this or see something messed up, you really are supposed to tell me." Now, I didn't see Eris's email until the next morning, so it was just coincidental that he wrote at the exact same time. But luckily, I did see Michael's message on Slack. He was still online, so we had quite a few exchanges to help me diagnose the problem. I opened up Hindenburg, which is my multi-track audio editor that I use to record the shows. I always record my audio on the top track, and then when I interview someone, it's on the second track, with the jingles on the third track and the intro and outro music on the fourth track. I jumped to the first CES interview and discovered that I had the second CES interview on the wrong track, and it was actually overlapping the next segment, as both Eris and Michael had reported. Now, it didn't take me long at all to drag the following segment and all of the audio that followed it to the right where it should have been. So they were overlapping and I just slid everything over to the right. I even remembered to drag each chapter mark into place so they were properly lined up. You see, Hindenburg doesn't move the chapter marks when you move the audio. Okay, I'm golden now. I just have to repeat the entire post-recording process. I exported it to AAC with an A at the end so I could tell it apart from the first version, uploaded it to Auphonic, and waited. While Auphonic was doing the transcoding and SFTPing of the audio file, I went back to Feeder to stop the wrong file from being served to the audience. I was hopeful maybe some people didn't already get it. Now, I use kind of a hacky way to do that. I have this fake local feed where I can drag in an episode for storage that never gets uploaded anywhere. Then I can delete the real one in the real feed. That lets me not have to rewrite the whole thing. I then push the feed again to the server, now missing the latest episode, so at least nobody gets the wrong file, nobody new gets the wrong file. Later, I can drag that item back into the real feed, point it to the new and improved audio file, and push it back out again. Next, I had to go into the belly of the beast. I had to get rid of the original version on Libsyn. I've been with Libsyn since nearly the beginning of podcasting. Their interface is arcane and confusing at best. Even though I use the standard secure file transfer protocol to copy files to their server, which you should be able to do with any kind of SFTP client, like Transmit or something like that, I cannot see them in a normal file structure after I send them up. They basically whoosh them over to some unknown location. That makes it very difficult to fix problems. Now, I've been using version 4 of their web interface at 4.libsyn.com for ages. The interface is very ugly and looks like a design from the early part of the century, since it's from the early part of the century. But at least there's a button that says replace next to the content I upload, which means I can swap in the new file. Ugly as it is, that's exactly what I need, and it's all I need. However, Libsyn's been pushing version 5 of their site at 5.libsyn.com for, at least a year. Every time I look at version 5, though, it's been missing basic functionality, including that handy-dandy replace button. With just a few weeks back, I needed to do something in Libsyn's interface, and when I went to version 4, I was greeted with a giant pop-up telling me it was being sunsetted in January of 2026. It's time to learn version 5 and figure out some way to get it to do what I needed it to do. Now, it's actually a good thing that I buckled down and conquered it back then, instead of hitting this during an emergency like last week. It's also good that when I figured out how to get things done in Libsyn 5, I updated the guide I have for Jill, Alistair, and Bart. I create references for when they take over my show during our travels using the application Folga. When I went to Libsyn during this catastrophe, I saw 2 files for Sunday's show, but they had the same name. I had renamed the audio file, but in my haste using Auphonic, I hadn't changed the name of the title of the production, which is what Libsyn was showing. I forget exactly how I figured out which one was which, but I did delete successfully the wrong one and kept the right one. Now, let the record show that it was only while writing up the notes to tell you this story that I thought to refer back to my guide I created in Folga when I wasn't in red alert status. I forgot to do it when I was in red alert status. What I had deleted in Libsyn was what they call the podcast, which is something that service creates and I never use since I roll my own. In my carefully created guide, I had explained to myself that you have to scroll to the bottom of the dashboard page, click on Manage Storage, and only then can you actually see your active files. Turns out I hadn't deleted the audio files at all until I was writing this up. I have now. Okay, with the bad files erased on Libsyn, I could go back to Feeder, bring the latest episode from my hacky folder, edit the audio file name to add the A at the end, and then I checked the size, and it was definitely different from the original and matched the one that I had just uploaded, so I was able to hit post. Then I went to podfeed.com and updated all of the links to the audio file in the blog post and published again. Whew, all right, time to respam all of the socials telling everyone to delete the original episode from their podcatcher of choice and download the new one. And then I noticed that I had swapped the bookmarks for the 2 CES interviews. It was supposed to be the interview with Birdfee first, but I could clearly see that Heirloom was the first interview. Well, you know what? I decided everybody could live with that mistake. I told Michael I was done and I was leaving it that way, and I pointed out that chapter mistake, and I started to brush my teeth to go to bed. But then Michael wrote back at 10:39 p.m. to tell me I still had a problem. I hadn't swapped the bookmarks. I had put the interview with Heirloom in twice instead of using Birdfee and Heirloom. I believe my exact words back to him were, "Shoot me now." As much as my pillow was calling me at this point, I had to fix this problem. I'm glad I did, not just for you and for the woman from Birdfee who took the time to give us the interview, but because in fixing it, I realized how I caused this whole mistake. As I've mentioned in previous years, but neglected to mention this year, Steve does all of the work with these interviews. I hold the microphone and try to ask insightful questions, but once we stop recording, it's all Steve. He creates the videos for YouTube, he creates the subtitles, he exports the audio for me to embed in the podcast. Well, last week when he gave me the audio files, I asked whether he could do some noise suppression on the files. Steve thinks it's good for you to be able to hear the environment we're in with all of the crowds, and I don't disagree. But I was worried the noise was too high and it might be fatiguing. He gave me a second copy of the 2 interviews, Birdfee and Heirloom, with about 50% noise suppression, which is the default in Final Cut Pro. During the live show, I dragged in the Birdfee audio with noise suppression and I played a bit of it. As I listened, I realized I wasn't sure I really liked that version with the noise suppression. It sounded kind of crunchy and weird. You know that sound? Anyway, I decided to let the live audience decide which one they liked better. So picture this. I've got the noise suppressed version of Birdfee on one track and the non-noise suppressed version on a track below it. With Hindenburg, I can press the M button to mute one track, which allows me to kind of toggle back and forth between the 2 versions of the Birdfee recording. I asked the audience to listen carefully and tell me which one they liked better. A lot of people said they couldn't hear the difference, but a few folks said they liked the noise suppressed version better, so I decided to stick with it. After that, I recorded my segment about Panel Editor. After Panel Editor, I dropped in the noise suppressed version of Heirloom and I played a few minutes of it. I had to go back to the video from the live show in my discovery of trying to figure out what I did wrong to figure out what happened then. At 45:28 into the live show, I said to Steve, I think I might want to go back to the original version. Steve asked me in the video if I want to do that on both, and I say yes. So by both, we meant Heirloom and Birdfee back earlier in the show. So that's when I replaced the noise suppressed version of Heirloom with the original version. Then I scrolled back up to Birdfee, and thinking I was dragging the Birdfee file in, I accidentally dragged in Heirloom again. Now, while it would have been bad to have Heirloom in the show twice, Heirloom's interview was longer than Birdfee. So when I put Heirloom where Birdfee was, that's why it overlapped audio later in the show. Now, when Michael clarified this mistake for me, and I was able to see and hear for myself what I had done, I knew I had to go through the whole rigmarole again of fixing it, exporting it from Hindenburg, then having Auphonic do its magic, and stop the feed again. This time I also took the blog post offline as well until I could get it fixed. The only good news at this point was that this time I remembered to change not just the file name to append the letter B, but I also appended the project in Auphonic with the letter B so that when it got over to Libsyn, I'd be more easily able to find the correct file. Since I had time on my hands, I went into the 7 circles of hell that is version 5 of Libsyn and deleted the A version of the audio file so that no podcatchers could find it. I anxiously scrolled TikTok for the 10 minutes or so while Auphonic did the heavy lifting, And when it was complete, I verified that Libsyn had the new and improved B version of the audio file, fixed the feed, fixed the blog, and posted both. The bottom line is that I'm sad that you got a bad audio file last week, but I'm very happy that both Eris and Michael jumped in to let me know the file was borked. I really, truly do want you to tell me when I mess things up so I can fix them if it's at all possible. While I complain about the Libsyn interface, I'm very glad that I just happened to have cracked the code on beating it into submission just a few days before this happened. Now, one more thing. I pay a monthly subscription to Auphonic based on how many minutes of audio I expect to process in a month. Because of our upcoming trip to Texas and our trip to Norway and Estonia in February, I'm trying to get extra content into the can. And because I had to run this 90-minute podcast through Auphonic's pipeline 3 times, I ran out of credits at Auphonic. Now, the good news is that George from Auphonic also offers one-time credits you can buy to supplement your monthly plan, and those credits don't expire. So for the grand sum of an extra $12, I'm able to process both the No Silicast and Chit Chat Across the Pond this week. Thanks again to Michael and Eris for saving the show. I'm here with Anthony Ryu, who is from a company called, has a product called On Sprinkler. And the problem to be solved is irregularly shaped yards that you need to, gardens, as the French say, that need to be sprinkled. And you've got a portable unit here that's moving around doing all kinds of crazy things, and you got a tablet. Tell us about what we're looking at.
So the idea today is to stop watering the neighbor or the road or whatever is not watery. So here with the hot sprinkler, you will delimit one area. Here is the on sprinkler on the middle. And then, for example, here you have the shape of your garden.
So I'm going to describe this because it's audio only as well. So he's got a bunch of different waypoints that have described an arc and a bunch of, this is a very irregularly shaped yard described on a tablet, right?
Yes, exactly. Actually, you can do any shape you want.
So he's flipping through different shapes?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a wing?
And then after, with the head and the head of the sprinkler, you see it's moving and you can water, let's say, just on the limit, or let's say you can water from 2 meters to 9 meters. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that means it will also depend a little bit on the pressure you have on the pipe, but basically you will, with the head and the rotation, you will only water this area.
So the device is essentially stationary, but it's got a gimbal on top with the sprinkler head rotating and then going up and down. So it's going in elevation and azimuth around the vertical axis of this, and it's got a handle on top so you could lift it and move it to a different area?
Yes, exactly. And you see here, you have the base. And the base, you can have, for example, up to 10 different bases. And when you put the sprinkler on the base, you already have your setting done. Because when you set for the first time, for example, the base 1, it's area 1. And the on sprinkler with the NFC will directly connect to the base. So, for example, you have one base here, one other base somewhere else. And when you put the sprinkler directly on it, it's already set.
Okay, so this base he's pointing at is an orange square with some holes in it, but this has NFC in it, you're saying, so it's recognizing, oh, now I'm in zone 2.
Yes, exactly. Because the setting, you do it basically one time, and then after you just have to put the sprinkler on the base and it's done.
That's pretty cool. So is this on the market yet?
No, in September.
In September, do we have a suggested price point?
It will be about $300 US.
$300?
Yes.
Oh, I was thinking a much higher number. I was thinking more zeros than that.
If you want.
Oh, come on, Anthony. So if people wanted to learn more about the On Sprinkler, they would go to ongroup.net?
Yes, they will see ongroup.net and onsaywater.com.
So you got 2 sites just in case we can't remember one?
Yeah, actually, Onsay Water, it's a brand. We are developing a bunch of product to save the water. It's a limitation of water, also storage of water, depollution of water.
I live in California, so we're very interested in this kind of technology. Thank you very much. This is very interesting. Good luck.
Thanks to you. Have a nice fair.
I am addicted to Withings products. We try to search you guys out every single year. And I actually put a Withings scale on my Christmas this year. And I gave my husband, Steve, a BMO for his Christmas gift. But I am here with Caroline Lagarde of Withings, and we're going to talk about a new product. Maybe we should have waited and got me this one for Christmas.
Yes. So I think you're going to be able to get this product next year for Christmas because it's going to be delivered in Q2 2026. Maybe to explain why we developed this new scale at Withings, I'll give you some context. So at Withings, we stated that our modern life changed the way we live. So we eat on the go, we sleep a lot less, we are under pressure. So because of this, there is a big increase of chronic disease all around the world. And so this chronic disease develops silently for years before they are declared. And the goal of Body Scan 2 is to detect the early signs of this chronic disease before it's too late.
Oh, wow. So this isn't just about seeing how fat you are.
Yeah, exactly.
By the way, I would like to thank the company for, if you try to weigh yourself on your birthday, it just says happy birthday, and it will not tell you how much you weigh. Whoever wrote that into the software, let them know.
Yeah.
So this is called Body Scan 2. So it looks like a scale, but it's got some sort of sensor thing up at maybe arm height.
Yeah, exactly. So this is a handle. And so we embedded the display in the handle so that it's easier for the user to look at the data and the results on the screen. And we also added 2 interactive buttons so that the person can interact with the scale.
Oh, okay.
And in fact, I'm talking about the scale, but it's a lot more than a scale. So this is longevity station.
Longevity station.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because,
so what does it measure?
Yeah, so at every weigh-in, you're going to get a complete assessment of your cardiovascular health and metabolic health.
Cardiovascular and metabolic. Okay.
Metabolic health, yes, exactly. And so based on this, we're going to give you your health trajectory, so which is your path to longevity. So it's whether you're gaining, losing years or gaining healthy years. And so based on this, we're going to give you advices whether you should keep on sleeping more or doing more activities and so on to improve this health trajectory.
Oh, interesting. I do know that my scale told me I was dehydrated after New Year's, and that's inexplicable why it said that. But yeah, what kind
of very powerful. More than 60 biomarkers that are measured on this scale.
Really? So this is all just from your feet on the scale?
Feet and handle. So here you can see this is a sensor, this is a sensor, this is a sensor and a sensor, and here is a sensor also inside.
So you're holding it. Show me how you hold it.
You're holding it
hands.
like this.
Okay, so she's holding this long black plastic piece, but she's got her thumb on 2 sensors, and then her palms and your fingers wrapped around her the sensors underneath. Okay.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And so maybe I can give you the 3 key points of this scale. So first of all, it detects hypertension risk. So it sends you a notification when you've got hypertension risk.
I thought you had to measure blood pressure in order to do hypertension.
So we don't measure the tension, the blood pressure directly on the body, but we tell you whether you've got a risk of hypertension. See what I mean? This is a screening. This is not monitoring.
Oh, okay. So if your body characteristics would likely give you hypertension, It's going to say, hey, might want to keep an eye on.
Yeah, sure, exactly. So we've got many different data. We put all of them in the AI predictive model, and then this, based on clinical studies we've made, is going to give you whether you're high or low on this risk.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how do you protect our data?
So we've got, we don't sell our data to anyone, and we follow all the regulations in Europe and in the USA.
Okay, but your data does not stay local, correct?
So our data center...
it's not local on my device. It's not going straight to my iPhone and then nowhere else. Is it going to your servers?
There are data centers that Withings own, and that is the property of Withings. And then this only goes for the user in the application. Okay. And in fact, you can download all the information we collect on you whenever you want on your accounts. And you can also ask to delete them. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. That's great. That's good.
Yeah.
Say the word AES encryption at some point in the story, and we'll be good.
And maybe that's so the two other novelties I didn't talk about it. So I talked about hypertension risk, and then we measure the heart age also. So until now we had an electrocardiogram, so to measure the responsiveness of your heart to order to beat. So
say that one more time. Measure the heart for what?
So you've got we already measure electrocardiogram. So electrocardiogram.
Okay, an
this is
ECG.
Yes, exactly,
Okay.
ECG. So this is the order that your heart receives to beat. And then the heart beats, and then it pumps blood. So this is what we measure. We measure the efficiency of the ejection of the blood, so the pumping efficiency of the heart. And we vulgarize it in a heart age. And then we've got the vascular age, which we already had on body scan 1, which gives you the stiffness of your arteries. So now we've got all the way for your cardiovascular health.
Holy cow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And what's the third one?
The third one, so this is a long-term impact of an unstable glycemic regulation on your body. So this is a little bit complicated. Let me explain.
Okay.
So-
I'm bracing myself for the challenge. Here we go.
So we don't come to measure directly your glucose in your body, but we measure if there's an impact of an unstable glycemic on your body. So, for example, if your nerves are deteriorated, if you've got visceral fat at some places where you shouldn't have, how much visceral fat you have, your artery stiffness, all of these data, we put them in an AI model, and which predicts whether there is an impact of not or not. So if there is an unstable glycemia or not.
So how would you know where my visceral fat is?
So
I mean, I got some, but I don't understand how the scale is going to tell me where it is if I've got my hands
Sure,
and my
sure.
feet.
Sure.
You don't know if it's on my hips or my nose.
In fact, so we've got different electrodes everywhere. So we can make different circuits in your body. So if we decide to connect the two electrodes from your feet, current will go from one foot to another one. So it's going to be only in the legs part.
Right, through the waist. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So if we take between the two hands, then it's going to be in between the two hands. So we can decide where to measure everything based on which electrodes we switch on or switch
Yeah, if you go from my right foot to my left arm, you're going to find that visceral fat right there. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
that's really, really interesting.
Exactly.
So that's why it's important to have this, what do you call the upper
The
piece?
handle.
The handle. And you had that on the version 1, but this
Yeah,
is a
exactly.
version 2 that's going to be coming out, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, well, I think I know what I'm going to ask for Christmas. Do you have a price point yet for the...
Yes, so in Europe, in the US, sorry.
She just looked at my badge. That was cute. No, I've got European listeners. I want to know for New Zealand, too.
For New Zealand too. New Zealand is not yet ready. But so in the US, it's going to be $599.
Okay, great. And the name of this model one more time.
Body Scan 2.
Body Scan 2. And Steve has a question. And when is that coming out? In February, did you say?
Q2 2026. So Q2, it's...
Q2, yeah, second quarter of 2026. Very good.
Yes.
So if people want to find out about all of the things that you do at Withings, where would they go? Withings.com?
Withings.com, yeah, sure.
Okay,
Sure.
WITHINGS.com. Thank you so much. This is fascinating, Caroline.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Yeah. I explained earlier in the show that the wonderful service Auphonic does most of the work to bring you great audio and saves me a bucket load of time to publish the show. I mentioned that the extra credits were $12, and, that one's on me for borking up the feed. I should pay that $12. But Auphonic costs $11 per month, and all of you benefit. So if just 12 of you went to podfeed.com/donate and bought me 2 coffees, that would almost pay for a year's worth of Auphonic. Wouldn't that be awesome? Well, it's that time of the week again. It's time for Chit Chat Across the Pond. This is episode number 828 for January 21st, 2026, and I'm your host, Allison Sheridan. This week, our guest is Adam Engst from Tidbits, and we're going to chat about the wonderful world of menu icons in Tahoe, right?
There's not a phrase you generally hear regularly. Menu icons, a wonderful world. Yeah, whatever.
Entertaining at the very least. Well, on Tidbits, you linked to an article by Nikita Prokopov. Wait, I'll get it right. Prokopov. And she talks about the menu icons that have been put in Tahoe. And I thought it'd be really fun to talk about not just how horrible they are and how overdone and distracting and all those things, but how we perceive menus and things on our screen, how we find them, and how different we are as people in the way we do that. I thought that'd be kind of fun to go through.
Yeah, it's truly fascinating. And Nikita's article was really interesting because he, she, they, I don't know.
She, I believe.
She? Okay. She keys off of the Macintosh Human Interface Guidelines. 1992 editions are behind the previous ones as well. But Apple in those Human Interface Guidelines basically says don't do this in terms of putting icons in menus. And so,
yeah, we should be specific what we're talking about. We're talking about when you go to a menu in the menu bar and it says File, and then the next thing down is Open. There's little icons to the left of every single thing in the menus now, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much everyone?
Yeah. And so it's definitely it's one of those slightly tricky, it was one of those changes in Tahoe where like it's super, on the one hand, it's super obvious. On the other hand, it's kind of trivial. And so it's taken a little while for people to kind of get up the, I don't know, energy to talk about this. Because it doesn't like stop you from doing anything. It's just added decoration. But what it does do is it makes it harder to parse those menus on the first fly. And that can be a problem, particularly when you're talking about a new app.
So let's talk a little bit about the way you perceive menus. Like, how do you find things in a menu? When you click on File and you look at it, what does your brain do?
I am a word person. I read everything. I mean, I am literally looking at myself in Zoom, reading the pictures on the book titles on the wall behind me as I'm talking. I can't not read text. And so simultaneously, little icon-y things that show up in palettes and toolbars and whatnot, I see them all as little blobs. I hate
blend?
palette and toolbar interfaces. Cannot stand.
Oh, where they only have an icon?
Yeah, like all the graphics programs. It's like, I don't know. I mean, I have to look hard to actually differentiate between the pen and the pencil and the paintbrush and they're all little slashy things.
You know what? The worst ones are the ones where you go to the help menu and they say click on the brush icon, but they don't show you what the brush icon looks like. And you're looking at a whole bunch of different things that look like brushes.
It's bad both ways. Like sometimes they show click on the icon and they don't name it. And so then I'm trying to parse, I don't even know what it is. Like I think of these things in words.
You spend a lot of time hovering for tooltips.
Yeah. Yes. If you're ever relying on the tooltips, the interface is bad.
Yeah, I think it's okay when you're not super familiar with the tool. Like I'm always trying to remember, like in oh gosh, what app is it? It's one of the graphics apps. It must be Affinity Photo or Designer, where I have to hover over to see what the submenus are and then hover over which one is dodge and burn and try to figure those out.
Yeah. It's one of those things where, there's a reason for words. And, not everyone understands these icons. And they don't mean the same things to everybody. This is one of my big irritations with emoji. That I don't use emoji hardly at all because I don't know what they mean to other people. When people use them with me, I often don't know.
Because we're old?
I think that there are commonalities. I mean, we've learned, for instance, from talking to the younger people, you want to be careful when using the eggplant emoji.
Exactly. That was the first thing that came to mind. The only thing I know to avoid is the eggplant.
Don't use eggplant or peach. Don't use peach.
Oh, well, that one you can see.
But it's the same problem, right? That a picture, a picture is worth 1,000 words, supposedly, but I'll take the 1,000 words anytime. Because
interesting,
you can say so much more in that 1,000 words, and actually describe what's going on and be understandable to people and things like that. Whereas the picture, who knows? Maybe they don't see color the way you do. Maybe their vision is not as not as clear as yours, so they literally do not see the details. There's all sorts of possible problems that go wrong with icons. The big win,
So
Apple's perspective,
it can
is
be
localization, though. Of course, right? No language issues.
maybe, except all people aren't going to be able to understand what we're about to talk about. But I do want to back you up, though, is I think words are more effective than pictures, but they take a lot longer. It's easier for me if I can see an icon and I know that's the one. I know what it looks like.
I don't think
know
they take
what.
longer. I think they take up more space.
Well, but it can take longer to read than to just I know that I've got a purple icon for Mona right now. If I look down in my dock, I'm just going to click on purple. I don't have to read anything to know that that's Mona.
See, I
It's
would argue that
faster
for me,
but it'd be
reading
slower for
takes
you.
no more time.
Yeah, well, and I think
mean-
you might be unusual in that.
I mean,
or maybe there's a whole group of people like you.
well, I think that's it. I think that is it. I mean, one of the things that I didn't get into in when I was writing about this in Tidbits. Okay, so here's a question. Close your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Can you see an apple?
Yeah, I'm one of those people who can't.
Oh, you
I
so
can't
you
see
have
things with my
aphantasia
mind's
as
eye.
well.
I can't see my husband's face.
Okay, you're
I
like
can
me then.
describe it, but I can't see it.
Right.
It's just not there. There's
Okay,
nothing.
so
But
you're
my
like
dreams
me.
are vivid visually, so I don't understand what that means.
What are dreams? Yeah,
Dreams.
dreams are just weird. But for me, I can't see things at all in my head as well. I have no visual imagery.
Okay.
And so, to my mind, that's in part of why I don't like icon-based interfaces.
Right. Let me describe somebody who goes the exact opposite way. And I think I've talked about it on the show a few times, but I used to work with a guy named Niraj on web design stuff. And we'd often be on the phone, but it was back before you had screen sharing kind of things. And so he would say, look at the blue icon. And I go, where? And I wanted to know the Cartesian coordinates of it. It's on the bottom left. That's
Right,
what I needed
right.
to know. But I would say to him, look at the menu in the middle right. And he'd go, what color is it? So we realized after a while that we had to speak the opposite language. And it came most vivid when he said to me, he was telling a story about talking to his father, and he was trying to help him with his email on his Mac. And he said, click on Eagle Mail, Daddy. And I stopped him. I said, Eagle Mail? What are you talking about, Eagle Mail? And he goes, the mail icon with the eagle on it. Now, it's gone now, but I looked down, I was like, how long has there been an eagle on that?
Yeah.
I had literally never seen it. It had never crossed my threshold of it wasn't there. That memory wasn't there, and it had been there forever. So I think everybody sees things a little bit differently. I might see color, but not distinctive shapes, but you're seeing, your brain is looking for the text.
Right. And Tanya is very much a color person as well. I mean, that she just sees blue icons. And if something changes
they're
the
all
color
blue.
on them,
That's about.
she's like, oh, I can't find it at all. So I mean, so it's also one thing when you're talking like a fairly big icon on the desktop or the dock or in a folder or something like that. It's another when it's this little 16 by 16 black and white thing, right? You got so much less information that can be conveyed there. And one of them, and we can go through some of these criticisms that Nikita is raising here. But one of them is just like, there's not that much you can convey in that space when you're trying to say, like, you're trying to convey the concept of open or save, or rename. Like, how do you explain rename in an image?
Before we get into this too far, Adam corrected me, and I double-checked him correcting me. I was wrong. Nikita is a he. So just for ease of speaking now. Yeah, so the big thing that they changed with Tahoe is we used to have icons on some things, but now we have icons on every single thing, right? So they've got to be able to come up with more icons to try to mean things, and they have really failed.
Well, to
terribly
be clear,
at that.
what we're talking about is icons in menus, which were
Right.
almost never a thing.
Well, you've got Sequoia in front of you on one Mac and Tahoe in front of the other, so we're going to be able to do a good comparison. If you look at the file menu in Safari,
the Go folder, the Go menu has icons, which makes sense actually in some sense because those kind of associate with things that you
folders and stuff.
Folders, right?
Open Safari and just because that's one of the examples that he gives here. But just go to the file menu. I don't believe every single thing had an icon back in.
There's no icons
in Sequoia
and Safari.
Under file?
Under file, none.
So new window, new private window, new tab. None of those things have icons.
Nope.
Okay.
So there are a few icons in bookmarks. You have icons
bookmarks.
For
that's pulling the favicons from those
right,
things.
Precisely. But it's right. It's right, and which again makes sense because you're connecting those to a different thing.
But edit bookmarks, does that have an icon or show bookmarks?
No.
Okay. So I thought there were some, but it sounds like there's very, very few.
Very, very
What
few.
they've done now is put icons on every single thing. And this article by Nikita, I just got madder and madder as I got down through it. Not because on behalf of people who do look at the icons, because I literally didn't notice this. There's one screenshot, I'm trying to find it in this long article, where they showed us one of the menus. Okay, it's the Safari file menu, and he erased all of the words in the file menu and only leaves the icon and says, okay, here's a test. What do these icons mean?
Yes.
And they're ridiculous. The first one is a rectangular box with a plus in it. Okay. Then there's a black rectangular box with a white plus in it. Then there's a square box with what I think is a plus in it. Then there's two little squares with a plus in it. Those are four different things, apparently. And for the life of me looking at, even though I've been on Tahoe since it came out, I have no idea what those things are.
Yeah, just none.
Those are apparently new window, new private window, new tab, and new empty tab group.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's just, in some ways, it's just hopeless, right? You have too many really quite subtle changes to make in 16 by 16 pixel by 16 pixel icon. So, again, what's the difference between, new window and new tab? I mean, are they? I'm looking at them from a bit of a distance.
Yeah.
But
new tab is a square, not a rectangle.
Right. One's
totally
more
different. Right. But again, it's 16 pixels, right? I want to back up, and I do want to get back to 16 pixels because that's another really important point that Nikita makes. But you were just talking about rename, and what they're trying to do is put icons on things that don't have a visual metaphor. Well, to the audience, if you were trying to come up with an icon, again, 16 by 16 pixels, what would you use to mean rename? Well, if there isn't an analogy to that, then don't put an icon there because you can't make a meaningful one. Therefore, don't put one.
Yeah. And Apple also seems to use, arrows and like plus signs pretty heavily. I'm kind of looking at a couple of these things now. And which,
is it up? Is it down?
Right.
Is it diagonal?
Like import and export have differently pointing arrows. There's not a lot of difference between export and share. Export is PDF. As I said, to be clear, like you, I didn't even notice these. Like, literally until I read this article, I'm like, there's icons in Tahoe? Who knew?
I'm going to be talking about this more in the show, but when I went through and mapped system settings for macOS Tahoe, I went through every single menu and did all of them. Well, this week, when I was working on an article, I happened to go into one of the accessibility menus, and I think I was looking at help, or I would ask Perplexity how to find something, and it told me to click on the little eye icon. Now, what does an eye in a circle mean, Adam?
Info.
Right. No, this was a button that opened a whole bunch more options. I have missed like 40 at least things that are not in my system settings thing, because every one of these little items had a little eye next to it, and that was a whole pop-up menu. so the inconsistency is what part of what Nikita talks about here too, is they don't even, like sometimes share is up and sometimes it's down, or open is up and sometimes it's down. They're not even self-consistent.
Black is white, left is...
Even within the same app, they give examples of where it's not, where they do different things for the same thing, different icons.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a frustrating enough problem. So here's where I run into this problem and have for many years, which is when you are writing about something and you want to tell people to click on an icon. You can name it, but if it doesn't have a name at all times, or if you're trying to help people find it, it would be nice to put it into the article. But it turns out it's actually fairly tricky to get little graphics that you can put into text and refer to. I mean, even only Apple has started to do that fairly recently. Even with system-wide things.
Apple never gives you screenshots, right? You got to just figure it out from the words.
Screenshots, but they've started to do these icons a little bit more in the help text support articles. So like one of my like long-standing project ideas is to spelunk through the system and pull out all of these icon files, because there are files in the system. Like I don't need to take screenshots of them and all that. But it's just so much work, and I haven't done it. Maybe it's not even as much work as I think it is, but it feels like it's a lot of work. And then you'd be able to say, like, again, clicking the I button. Well, rather than use a Unicode I in a circle, which is easy, I could actually use this little thing. What would be super cool is to turn that into a font, but then it still wouldn't work for the internet. So yeah, it'd still have to be graphics. Darn
it. Worked his way through there. Where do you know where those icon files are?
They're stored in apps.
Contents.
Yeah, they're in the contents and the package stuff and .icns.
Oh, within a specific app. So you're saying if you were working on Apple Notes, you would open the package file and drill down into it?
Yeah.
Not the system setting ones
no.
Oh, but like if we were talking about Safari.
Right. And some of them may be at the system level because they're shared across everything, like the share icon. I don't know if that's true or not. I had a conversation with someone once who knew where they were and told me, and I could go back to that at some point. I said I've never actually done the full spelunking myself.
This sounds like a great rabbit hole. It sounds really, really fun.
Where are the icons?
Right. So back to the size of the icons, Nikita goes through and talks about the 16 pixels, like what we were just talking about. And the comparison he gives is, actually, he says the icons are 12 by 12 pixels.
Oh, they're even smaller.
The actual resolution is 24 by 24 because of Retina, but the dimension is usually even less than 12. So they put in a screenshot here that says even Windows 95 had 16 by 16 icons. If we take the typical DPI of that era at 72 dots per inch, we get a physical icon size of 0.22 inches. So it's almost a quarter of an inch, 5.6 millimeters. On a MacBook Pro with 254 DPI, Tahoe's 24 by 24 icons are 0.09 inches, 2.4 millimeters. He says, sure, 24 is bigger than 16, but in reality, these icons areas are 4 times as small. And there's a great screenshot of Windows 95 next to a MacBook Pro screen where you just see how little these are. So they're trying to fit in, they give a screenshot of zooming. So there's actual size, zoom to fit, zoom in, zoom out. And there's apparently some thing inside the little magnifying glass that's next to all 4 of these. But I'll be darned if I can tell what those are, or even in some cases that they're different. And so if I zoom way up, I can see that actual size has a 1 in it. Zoom to fit has a double-ended arrow. Zoom out is a plus, or zoom in is a plus and zoom out is a minus. But when they zoom in on the screenshots of that, the arrow is just like you can't tell that's an arrow. It's indecipherable.
If I take my glasses off, I have perfect vision at like 3 inches. So if I take my glasses off and get 3 inches from my screen, I can see them really well.
Well, that's handy.
Yeah, right. Like,
okay, well, how about the next one? I forget which app this is, but there's 3 different icons for bulleted list, dash list, and numbered list. And boy, bulleted list and dash list look exactly the same. Numbered list is, I see sort of a little smudge next to it.
Yeah, right. It smudges on the left differently than the bulleted list smudges on the left.
Right. But so how did that add value? In that case, bulleted dash numbered.
Yeah.
Or make the icons bigger. Why did they have to make them so tiny?
Well, they have to be that tiny to fit the text size. If they're bigger, then the text, then they're taking up too much space. The menu gets much larger. I mean, I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying I can see why they're that size.
Maybe the text is too small.
The text may be too small too, but they're matching the text size, text height. So no, I mean, these are it's just ridiculous that they're doing this. And so many of them, even when you can see them, are meaningless. I mean, and one thing he says that are kind of useful, the really good ones are the moving window ones, where you're moving to like left side of the screen, right side of the screen, top, bottom, that sort of thing.
Yes, it's a square that's either black on the left or black on the right or black on the top or black on the bottom. You can tell the difference between them. That's good use, right?
Yeah, and that's so. I mean, I think we're saying that like it's not as though icons should never be used in menus categorically. It's
Correct.
just there has to be a reason for it, and
or a metaphor actually exists.
And there's something that you could use to scan. Like, I mean, when you're reading, left, right, top, bottom, top, left, top, right, top, bottom, all that kind of stuff. There's so many words there that are kind of the same that you actually have to stop and think about it. Whereas you glance at the picture and and this. So like this is really, really the best one. Whereas some of these other ones you get into, like he's got an example of select all.
Oh yeah.
Like
describe that one.
It's a rectangle with an A in it.
With 2 dots on either side. So like if you're in preview,
oh, you're right.
And you press if you're in preview and you use the text tool to write a note to yourself on a PDF, that's what it looks like. It's got 2 dots on either side and the letters inside it. So apparently that's what select all means.
Yeah.
Except it's wee tiny in the icon.
Yeah.
But that's another great example. They've got text selection in iOS, and it's a different icon entirely. It's a square with maybe a dot above and below it, or is that no, it's a little line with a dot at the top on the upper left and the lower right.
Yeah, I mean, I guess nominally, once you look really, really closely and see what it says, like, okay, it actually sort of looks like you're selecting some text, in that, but you can't possibly pull that out of 12 by 12 icons. I mean, it's like you gotta get really up close and personal. And then there's some they just blow, like bookmarks. I mean, people know what a bookmark looks like. It doesn't look like a book.
What's a bookmark look like?
It's not a book.
Yeah, it looks like a little rectangular tab with maybe a little cutout on it, like a little piece of ribbon. And sure, if you were born after 1960, maybe you don't know what a bookmark is. But
1967,
or I do. 1967. Okay, so maybe after 1975, or you don't know what a bookmark looks like. But you know what a book. It's like, you know what the save icon looks like, even if you've never used a floppy disk. But you know what that looks like. So instead, they changed it to a book to mean bookmark.
I would argue that the save icon is actually a really bad one most of the time, because most people, well, again, like you have to be of a certain age to have ever even seen a floppy disk.
But you don't need to know that. It's always been that way. So it's always meant that. So it's okay. Because even if it could be a spaceship. If they had shown us as a spaceship 20 years ago, it'd be fine. It's always been a spaceship. That means save. I think
we've always been at war with Eurasia.
It seems like it should be easy, right? They've got an edit permissions one, which is a rectangle with some number of dots inside of it. 3 dots? I'm heavily using Control Scroll to zoom in on these to see what they are.
I will note also, like in Tahoe, save is not a floppy disk icon or anything like that. It's an arrow going down into a rectangle.
Oh, into a square. Yeah. I don't hate that one.
I mean, that one's not terrible. But I'm saying that's like floppy disks are not what people think of anymore.
Yeah, maybe. Under looking at close, it's an X.
Which is
Since
kind
when
of
does
meta.
Apple use an X?
Right.
Windows uses an X. Tabs use an X.
Oh no, if you hover over the red button.
Oh, is there an X over the stoplight?
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I've probably seen that one before.
But that's kind of meta, right? I mean, it's not a metaphor. It's a meta metaphor, because it's not a metaphor for closing anything. X doesn't necessarily mean close. It only means close because Apple uses it mean close. Right.
And Windows.
Right. Yeah. But the point being that it's not anywhere outside of it's self-referential in this particular case.
Hey, we're actually lucky they didn't put a set of double doors.
But you
to mean close, right? And the open ones, it looks like 4 vertical rectangles. Oh, I do like the edit permissions one though. That one's great. Wait, I want to do one more. Mark as incomplete in some app is a circle with a check in it. Isn't that actually the opposite of what you would if it was complete? Wouldn't it be a hollow circle? Maybe.
I it's literally have no idea. Of course, then there's mark as unchecked, which has a circle with a check mark in it, and something else. Let me look.
Yeah, what is that thing down at the bottom?
It's got a little X.
Oh, tiny X inside a white X in a black circle on the bottom right side of a bigger circle that's hollow with a check mark in it. Yeah. No, come on.
So one of the other real issues that we run into here is that not all menus, even in Apple's apps, have these icons. So like I'm looking at text edit right now, and everything in text edit, file, edit, do, but then you get to the format. You've got icons for font and text, but then you've got make rich text, prevent editing, wrap to page, allow hyphenation, and make vertical layout, which may have just blown Apple's font designers' little minds because they have no icons.
Because the last three have no icons.
Yeah, and then there's list and table again, and those do have icons again. But which
aren't the worst icons? The table looks like a table. I don't hate that one.
Actually not too bad.
And list,
the list is fine because we actually know what list icons look like. It's only when you're trying to differentiate between numbered and bulleted.
Bulleted, right?
But what the problem here is that you now have the left line does not go down evenly. So you're reading down. Yeah. And you read font, you read text, and then your eye goes down to instead of M for make rich text, you're at the E for in make, because that's the word that's at the previous left margin of the text.
Right.
You're being forced to read ragged.
Yeah.
Which, again, we're not talking like the end of the world here. It's more just that it's bad design. You're not making it easy for the user as you should. You're making the user do more work than they need to do.
If you look at Safari, look at the window menu, it does the same thing. There's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,
Safari,
11 icons in a row, and then 4 of them, they're gone.
Yeah, but they indent those. Go to previous tab, go to next tab, group, unpin tab, and duplicate tab.
I saw an indent on text edit under the format menu when it goes to wrap to page, allow hyphenation, make vertical layout. Those 3 that we just talked about, those are indented for me.
Not for me.
Really? That's interesting. That's what you meant by read ragged.
Wait. So there's a difference between whether you've got a document open and text selected. This is even worse. So I created a new document and typed some text. And now those items are not only not grayed out, they are indented, and make plain text and prevent editing have icons that didn't have icons before.
Wait a minute. Okay, I think yours is buggy because mine is with or without any text in there, selected, not selected. Actually, let me close.
What if there's no document
the
at
file
all?
and see if I can see. Yeah, let me see that. No, they're all still vertically aligned or left justified with whether they have a. Let me see. The text is all left justified,
Oh.
whether they have an icon or not.
So this is, again, one of my irritations with Tahoe. It's buggy. So it was wrong before. It is right now. And those icons for
So I was wrong before and I'm right now. Nikita's gender. Are we sure it's not us?
So no, basically something changed. I don't know, but something was changed in Tahoe's menu, in plain text edits Tahoe menu, by me opening a document.
And then when you closed the document, it went back. It stayed correct.
It stayed the way it had changed. Right.
Yeah.
So that's just okay.
That's
now
cool.
wait. Okay, we got to test this now. So I got to quit.
We were discussing why Adam hasn't gone to Tahoe on his production machine.
Mostly
but
just
only
too
on his
busy,
laptop.
But yes. So on a fresh launch, those are, for me, with no document open, those are outdented and have no icons.
Okay. Oh, so you can consistently reproduce this incorrect behavior. So let's see.
So.
Let me quit and see if I can reproduce. This is good podcasting right there. Oh.
Are you seeing it?
Yeah. Well, we're talking about the format menu. Yeah, there's 5 things in a row that are left justified.
Yep. And they are not, and they are outdented now.
Oh, it's weirder than that. There's 5 things without icons.
Mm-hmm.
If I create a new document, there's 3 things without icons and 2 of them have icons.
Yes. And they're all.
So not only are they outdenting, indenting.
See? I mean, see, this is, like, I hate to say it, I mean, like, this isn't why I haven't upgraded to Tahoe on my main machine, but this is indicative of sloppy testing on Apple's part. Like, that's kind of behavior that shouldn't be happening, because the app shouldn't be changing under you in ways like this based on what is or is not open.
Agreed. The overall overarching icon problem seems to me to be I can picture a directive by Alan Dye. Let's throw him under the bus since he was the head of design.
Where's the bus?
But I can picture him saying, "Thou shalt have icons next to every single menu item, and they should be no bigger than 12 pixels. And good luck to you. And if you can be consistent, that would be awesome." Maybe didn't even say that. And then just unleashed every team. So the Safari team and the text edit team and the photos team, they're all working independently on just scrambling to try to come up with icons to mean things. And there was no guideline of, this is what an open button looks like. This is what a close button looks like. There was no, panel of, so no documentation, no consortium like we have for the Emojipedia people to say, this is what the icons shall be. So that consistency was never enforced from the top. It was just a scramble to get this to look like this. That would be my guess. That's what this smells like to me.
I think so, but it's a slightly larger issue though, which is when you declare this sort of thing that's got to touch every app, you're bound to end up with some kind of with mistakes and inconsistencies. It's a little bit of the liquid glass problem. When you change something that changes the look for everything, there's going to be edge cases that you don't understand. It's like you probably heard the other
not consistent APIs that, like one API that if you have a file open in a menu, it will be created this way automatically, not having to code it yourself because you're on the text edit team.
In theory, yes, but in reality, that's only true of the commonality. That
right.
File edit are going to be easy, but and help maybe, but after that. So I was just looking, for instance. Yes. Okay. So look in preview.
Okay.
And
this is a play along game.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So I think this one's really quite funny. What is the icon in the view menu for hide toolbar?
A picture of the toolbar being there.
I mean, it's like,
and then
there is none.
No. It's completely different. So there's hide to sidebar and thumbnails, and because I have a check mark next to hide sidebar, that means it's showing. And thumbnails doesn't have one because it doesn't say hide because it's not showing. But the icon for hide sidebar is got a sidebar drawn on the left side of a rectangle, and it has 3 little dashes in it. The thumbnails one is 3 little dots, and the 3 little dashes don't fill the left side of that little thing. I mean, it's horrible.
So
I think
look at the
Nikita talked
bottom.
about that one too.
Look at the bottom though, where there's hide toolbar.
Okay. Oh, I went to the wrong one.
You're still in the same menu, just the very bottom.
Which menu? Oh,
you
hide toolbar. Yeah, you're right. There's nothing.
Nothing at all. And
what if I show it
your
now?
current document? Then you get
yeah.
Oh wait, it's another one. Okay, so if I launch preview fresh and look in there, that menu is called show toolbar.
Well, that's consistent. That's always been that way. Show and hide. If it's shown, it changes to hide. If it's hidden, it changes to show.
Right. But as soon as I open a document, then I get then it changes to hide toolbar. Gotta find the right document again.
Well, that's kind of that's consistent. If it's shown, it says hide, and if it's hidden, it changes to show.
Right. But if you close a document, so there's no toolbar showing, now it says show now it says show again.
I don't think we can call that one.
Yeah, it's a little bit too dependent on what the last document state was. Anyway, what I was curious, where I noticed it was I was looking at a third-party app, MimeStream. So the developer of MimeStream used to work on Apple Mail. So he's very kind of Apple centric in terms of the way his thinking goes. And I noticed that in the last release notes they had said something about how we have menu icons for everything in Tahoe. And so I was kind of looking through theirs, and they don't have an icon for hide toolbar either.
Huh. So well, maybe that's the
because you've hidden it.
Guidelines.
I don't know. I mean, maybe is it they're pulling it from Apple, or I don't know. It's very, very weird, right?
That is an odd one. I got to tell you, you know what this overall makes me feel is I miss color. Because you could probably identify some
like in the Wizard of Oz.
There was color.
Like suddenly there'll be color.
Well, no, but if you had color for these icons, you could maybe have a fighting chance of differentiating them.
Right. Yeah.
When they switch to everything's the same color, every app is the same color, I really miss that. There was no distinctiveness between the menus, the menu or the toolbar and the menu bars within the app, or the app windows, I should say. So when you've got one behind the other, you can't tell if you're bringing preview forward or Safari forward.
Yeah. No, it is funny how this sort of thing goes in and out of fashion. We've certainly had lots of color in the past. I mean, Apple's never been hugely garish, but they've certainly allowed a lot more color than they do now.
Well, yeah, when they had the skeuomorphism days, there was a lot of color, right?
Yeah, yeah. Although I remember way back when the first Mac 2, which was the first color Mac, I remember it was a big deal because you had color, but most of the interface was still black and still white kind of backgrounds and black text. Whereas PCs and Atari STs and Amigas and whatnot at the time, they went all in on color. It was color everywhere. And so, Apple had taken a very restrained approach, which was, a much more elegant way of doing it overall. But even that turned out to be too much, and they've gone further to everything is monochrome now.
Do we want to throw the new icons for the creator? What do they call it? Creative Suite? What is
Apple Creator Studio?
Creator Studio. Do we want to throw those icons under the bus while we're here?
This bus is doing a lot of work.
It is. It's doing
these are different icons. These are the app icons. And did we talk about this before? I can't remember.
No.
Oh, okay. So the evolution of app icons is another related but sort of different problem in Tahoe. That we went from the highly skeuomorphic days when Pages had a pen, a fountain pen in a ink pot in front of a document kind of thing to now where we have a left downward pointing line, is the current Pages icon, because it's got to be as minimalist as possible. And there have been a couple of people
Actually,
who've done
Pages looks
icon
like a
histories
pencil.
that show this.
The Pages icon is a pencil. Yeah, you put a link to Basic Apple Guy's macOS icon history. That's really terrific. The Creator Studio, the pencil is a diagonal pencil with a line under it. So it does look kind of like the previous version.
That one's not terrible, to be fair, right?
No, but some of them, the Pixelmator, like, I don't even know what that's supposed to be. Or what's the one that looked like a compass? Not a compass, a gyroscope? Motion. Okay,
That
so
one,
now motion is a bouncing ball, maybe?
It's a bouncing ball, I guess. Yeah, that one was terrible before. Like, I'm not sure. It's not a. The gyroscope I didn't think was yes, it's a motion. There's motion involved with the gyroscope, but that one didn't make a lot of sense to me before either.
It's not like that's a top 10 toy these days. It was when I was a kid. When we had string and a gyroscope.
But some of these, I did like the numbers icon. Really does look like it's flipping to the bird. So
yeah, it's. It used to be a different finger.
We used to have 4 fingers. Now it has 3.
But
so it's really much more centered. But the Logic is one of the big ones. The original Logic one was an actual mixing board with a keyboard and everything. And then it became some kind of I don't know, circle-y thing. I'm not quite sure what it meant to be. Is it like a knob?
Like a CD or something is what it looks like.
Well,
like you're burning a record or something.
Yeah, I guess. And then the current one is just a circle with I don't know, it's sort of a circle. It's a little bit
with some faded different colors of blue
on the rim.
Circle sort of going around. Yeah. Right. I don't know what that is. It could be the axle of something.
No clue. I really don't understand.
Did you notice GarageBand isn't mentioned in any of this Creator Studio stuff?
No, they don't, because
no GarageBand.
It's not a because Logic Pro. Isn't Logic Pro like GarageBand?
Well, a whole different class.
Well, but this is the Pro apps. This is Final Cut Pro. So
right, but I wouldn't call Numbers a Pro app.
Well, the whole iWork thing's a little random in this the suite as well. The other one that's truly inexplicable. I assume it's MainStage, which I don't really understand. I don't know what MainStage is for. It's for performances. But
it used to look like somebody's badge.
Yeah,
with a guy with a guitar.
Pass with a guitar person, which that seemed pretty good. And now it's a slider. With 4 dots?
With little dots next to it. But I don't know what that app does. I had literally never heard of it until they brought it up with Creator Studio. So apparently it's not for us.
I said it really has something to do with literally on-stage performances for musicians, which, I mean, fine, whatever. But it's like, what does a slider have to do with anything? So...
you know what I think is funny is they're trying to get rid of skeuomorphism as much as possible. So Keynote was a beautiful brown wood pedestal that you would stand at in order to give a presentation. Yeah. Lectern, that's the right word for it. And then in the current version, it's a kind of a white lectern with a pie graph on it, showing that you're showing some charts. And in the new one, it's just like a trapezoid bluish thing that might be a lectern. But when is the last time you gave a presentation at a lectern? Don't you show things on Zoom? I mean, if you're doing a presentation, how often are you in person?
I have done presentations at lecterns relatively recently, so...
I have, but I would say 9 out of 10 of my presentations are not.
Yeah. Now,
I can't use the Zoom logo.
Yeah. I mean, there was someone who posted the progression of one of the icons. I think it might have been Pages. And over the years, and basically they did it in reverse, so that you started with the really simple one and you ended up at the really highly detailed skeuomorphic one, and the comment was, it looks like the evolution of someone learning their craft.
As they went back in time,
Yeah,
right?
so they went back in time. Yeah. So if you're Benjamin Button,
That's awesome.
So I mean,
is it possible for the dock for icons for somebody like you to see the name of the app? I was just looking for that.
if you hover over it, you get it in a sort of tooltip.
Yeah, that's true. But that
Um,
means you got to find it first.
yeah. I mean, I actually use the dock relatively little. Almost all of my app switching is done via keyboard, either
Yeah.
via Raycast or I have all my function keys mapped to my main apps or the app switcher.
I've always been a Spotlight launcher person, but I've noticed recently I started using the dock, and I don't know what happened to me. It just sort of happened.
Hmm.
It's like, well, it's right there.
It is. It depends a little bit on how many items you have in your dock and thus how large they are. I have a lot of apps running at all times, so even on a 27-inch
Right.
display, my icons are pretty small. And
Yeah.
I'm also working on 2 screens, so it's way off on the right side.
Okay. Well, it is interesting talking about how different people look at these things differently. Whether you use the menu bar icons or not, I think it's still bad. We could probably
Yeah.
universally find, a center point for all of us that we don't think it's good.
Yeah, it feels to me like, I think Nikita put it well when he said that the human interface guidelines existed because there were certain things that were true about people. And software design, fashion, the design of fashion, and basically, what's currently trendy, that changes all the time. But what's true about people does not.
Ah,
And so,
okay.
and how quickly you can scan or how your eye tracks down a left line, those sort of things make a difference. And so those are the the kind of issues that I think they're trying to or that Apple's running smack into with these changes. It's like they didn't really think it through in terms of how they were going about this stuff. And yeah, I mean, it's mostly just telling because Apple basically wrote the book about how to do this right, in 1992. So,
And the quote he put in from the Macintosh Human Interface Guidelines from 1992 said, "Keep the graphics of the display simple. The number of elements and their behavior should be limited to enhance the usability of the interface. Graphics, icons, windows, dialog boxes, and so on are the basis of effective human-computer interaction and must be designed with that in mind. Don't clutter the screen with too many windows, overload the user with complex icons, or put dozens of buttons in dialog boxes."
well, I will say that when I was writing this up, I read through the human interface guidelines, and was that, and he actually missed what I thought was like the most direct quote, which was human interface guidelines say, don't use any non-standard marks or arbitrary graphic symbols in menus. They only add visual clutter
Really?
to the menu, and people won't necessarily understand the significance of the non-standard marks. For example, they won't know what a circle, addition sign, or tilde in a menu means. Like, Apple just said it, came right out and said, don't do this in 1992.
Well, they don't use tilde, I guess.
Is there a tilde somewhere? I don't know.
I
They
don't know.
certainly
Yeah, I was just
use
looking at
circles and
connect.
addition signs.
If you go to connect to folder, you're going to see, no, yeah, well, mine defaults is to tilde/library/preferences, but that might just be me. Wow, that's pretty funny. Yeah, well, what is non-standard? Once they put it into their icons, into their menus, is that maybe considered standard now? Because I put it in the menu. Now it's standard. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this has been fun being cranky with you about this, Adam. We're always all joyful, and we're going to just felt like really going to town, even though both of us hadn't noticed this, which I think is pretty funny, which it wasn't really bothering us, but now I'm angry.
Why are they doing this? Shakes fist. Yeah, I mean, it is an interesting question. And back in the day, I would have said that I would have given Apple the benefit of the doubt that they had actually done usability testing with target audiences and would have an argument for why this was better for people under the age of 25 or something like that. That they think differently, they work differently, been raised differently. As far as I'm aware, I've never heard of Apple doing usability testing with the public anymore. I mean,
Ever.
Yeah, I mean, it used to be a total thing, right? They would have these developer kitchens. They would do usability testing, where they'd invite people to Cupertino and sit them down and watch them through, mirrored glass as they played with the computers and things like that. And I have not heard of any of that happening. And it feels like it's there, like it's definitely one of those situations where yes, there needs to be a role for form of like, this is where we as designers want the look of our system to go. But there is simultaneously these rules, these things that are true about people. The article, as Nikita says, humans don't get a new release every year. Our memory doesn't double. We're the same basic blobs of meat and water that we always have been. And so, you can't change things and just assume that it's going to work for everyone in this, because you think it's new and cool looking.
Right. Well, I'm going to wind us up here, but next time on Chit Chat Across the Pond, we'll talk about the different radii of the windows in Tahoe.
And where you're supposed to click to try to move them, and why the scroll bars don't always show up. Sorry.
Or when they show up, they cover things up that you need. All right, Adam, this was great fun. If people want to see more of Adam's great work, of course, you would go to tidbits.com and read the longest running newsletter, probably of all time, but maybe only Apple of all time. But
second oldest on the internet.
Is it really?
Yeah.
What's older?
There's oh gosh, what is it? The AIR Annals? No, Association. I can't remember. I have to look it up. It's some like sociology thing that's been going on for a couple more years than us.
Wow.
So
you need to go convince them to stop.
There were early, yeah. Well, the problem is it's not quite the same because it's like, the journal of an organization. So like they don't need the kind of consistency. But the all of the people who started doing roughly the same thing I did before I did all have faded away by now. So like I've outlasted everyone else. But these people, I'll have to look them up. Yeah, it's some sociology kind of thing, I believe.
All right. Well, thanks again for coming on the show, Adam. We'll see you again next time.
Always fun. Talk to you soon.
Well, that's going to wind us up for this week. Did you know you can email me at allison@podfeed.com anytime you like, the way Eris did to tell me when I messed up the show? You should do that too. If you have a question or a suggestion, just send it on over. Remember, everything good starts with podfeed.com. You can follow me on Mastodon at podfeed.com/Mastodon. If you want to listen to the podcast on YouTube, or you want to watch Steve's amazing videos on YouTube without going to podfeed.com, you can find those at podfeed.com/YouTube. If you want to join the conversation and tell me again where I'm wrong like Michael Westbay did, you can join our Slack community at podfeed.com/Slack, and you can talk to me and all of the other lovely No Silicastaways there. You can support the show at podfeed.com/Patreon, or you can help me pay for the Auphonic subscription with a one-time donation at podfeed.com/donate. And you can use Apple Pay or any credit card there. Or if you like PayPal, we have that too, podfeed.com/PayPal. And if you want to join in the fun of the live show, you're going to have to wait until February 1st to head on over to podfeed.com/live on Sunday nights at 5 p.m. Pacific time. Join the friendly and enthusiastic No Silicastaways. Thanks for listening and stay subscribed.